Hey guys, it's TopDesu here. I solo queued to Master last week and I thought I'd share my most important lessons and tips with you here. I would actually argue that this split is the easiest split yet to get to Master. If you're usually stuck in Diamond 3, you should really give this split a go since you only occasionally get thrown into full pred lobbies. It took me about a week to solo queue from Diamond 4 to Master, in which I played around 80 games. Solo queue in Apex can be very challenging, as you will be dealing with bad teammates, zero communication in fights, unnecessary RP losses, and full 3 stacks against you. I hope I can help you out on your grind towards Masters by sharing my perspective on solo queuing and with the tips that I've come up with. Do consider subscribing and liking the video if you enjoy this kind of content, as I'm planning to create a lot more in the coming months. I would argue that the best playstyle for consistent RP gain is a passive-aggressive one. You don't want to take unnecessary and risky fights if you don't have to, but you shouldn't be afraid to push an advantage either. Try to imagine your squad as a lioness or some other big cat on hunt for easy prey. If you see a duo close by with no other team around to punish you, make the call and wipe them out to get those sweet KP. If you hear a fight close by and see some knocks going through, consider pushing it for an easy third party. Just make sure you stay on alert for anyone else trying to do the same. Don't overstay after a fight, as new teams are likely to show up. Just grab what is necessary and get the hell out of there. Once you have a few KP under your belt, I would really focus on rotations to get to the end game to maximize your points. If you get a good end game position, the last few KP will most likely come naturally anyways. This is actually really important and probably not being talked about enough. Make sure to always log your legend in. Don't wait the timer out and automatically get the legend you played last, so don't AFK in the legend selection to have better chances to get Jump Master. In case you didn't know this, Jump Master will always be awarded to the player that is furthest to the right and log the legend in. So if I'm on the very left but logged in and my other random teammates didn't log in, Jump Master will automatically go to me. If someone else logged in and has a higher Jump Master priority because they're further on the right, I would usually just kindly ask them in voice or text chat if they could give me Jump Master. This of course doesn't always work, but it actually does a lot of times. So what does being the Jump Master do for you? The biggest reason is to straight up avoid hot drops. Lots of randoms will just drop anywhere with 2 or 3 other teams in a hotly contested area, which most of the time ends with a fat -48 RP or so. It's just not worth the gamble if you're looking for consistency. You always want to fly long and land uncontested whenever possible. The longer you fly, the less enemies will be around you, which means less early fights you can lose. This might seem a bit boring for you at first, and if you want to go around guns blazing, that's perfectly up to you. My point is just that fighting with randoms is very inconsistent and risky. Your teammates might be really good or at least decent. If you're lucky, they communicate, but in many situations they will also not properly engage with you or be completely out of position or just do almost no damage in a fight. Therefore, your best bet for consistent RP is to fly long, try and get an uncontested spot, loot up and look for an advantageous fight. If you do this, you will most likely already be top 10 by the time you're done looting. To be able to get an uncontested spot, always look around when you fly. Don't tunnel vision on a location. What I usually do is that I fly long into a rough direction with several points of interest and then look around to check which one is free. This will also give me information about where teams around us land, where it's safe to rotate through for more loot, or where we could go for an early third party. For example, if I saw 2 or 3 teams land in a POI right next to us. Many people treat ranked like pubs, especially as a lot of people you will play with are hard stuck Diamond 4 players with 0 RP with no real intention of climbing any further. And they will play like this unless you can provide them with a better game plan. My analogy for this would be, imagine your teammates as a herd of sheep that you as a shepherd has to point to the right direction. Make sure they don't stray too far off so they don't get eaten by all the bad wolves around them. This requires communication. Push to talk can be quite annoying, but it is essential that you communicate with your team. You have to actively make calls about how to rotate, when to engage, when to just poke, when to get out, and so on and so on. This of course doesn't mean you should never listen to your teammates. If they communicate well and make a good call, go along with it and discuss your next step together. Being the shot caller for your team of course requires that you have a good map knowledge and game awareness, and that you can come up with a good plan quick. I might make a more in-depth video about this in the future, but for now I'll just put this as a given if you want to solo queue to Master. And with everything, the more you practice this, the better you will get at it as well. Now what can you do if you feel like you always make good calls but your team just never really listens to what you say? Obviously, you will always come across teammates that completely ignore any calls you make, but I think there are some things you can do to make randoms more likely to listen to you. Be confident in your own calls. Don't sound like you're doubting yourself. Are you more likely to follow a call like, maybe rotate to water treatment next? Or are you more likely to follow, guys, rotate to water treatment next? If you do struggle with this, just think of what call you are going to make and how you're going to say it before you say it. Don't be shy or hesitant to repeat yourself or get a little louder if it's a hectic situation that you should get the fuck out of because you're about to get 7 partied. Another thing that can help are good badges and stats. I know that badges and stats don't equal skill, but are you more likely to follow the call of somebody with a 4K and 20 kill badge, or someone whose banner just looks like a thrift shop collection? If you don't have any of the sweaty badges and you don't have a bunch of kills on the legend you want to play ranked with, I would seriously consider trying to grind some of these badges to make yourself look more imposing if you struggle with people following your calls. I'm doing videos from time to time how to get these badges solo or with a squad, and there are tons of other videos and resources out there for this kind of stuff. If you make good calls and shot call with confidence and have a decent looking banner, why wouldn't somebody follow you? After all, your random teammates might remember that they too want to actually climb in ranked. I would also argue that people are more likely to listen to you once you climb to Diamond 3, 2 or 1, as that will directly show them that you're capable of climbing, and they should probably follow you if they're hard stuck in Diamond 4. Now, we all got tilted at times. Maybe you didn't get Jump Master for 3 games in a row and your team just hot dropped even though you told them not to, or you just had some really unfortunate games and you ended up with minus 144 RP or whatever. If this happens to me, I would usually just do a break. I know it sucks to end on negative points, but if I get tilted, I just play worse, which will lead to more bad games. Just take a 1 or 2 hour break, or heck, even just 30 minutes. Get some food, walk around your apartment, watch an episode of anime, you name it. Same thing goes for being tired. If you're starting to get tired, maybe because you've been grinding for the past 6 hours with decent success, and you might just want to, you just want to hit that Diamond 2 before sleep, but I would argue that unless you're on a big time crunch towards the end of the season, it's probably not worth it. You will play worse, your calls will be less sharp, and you might end up losing all the points you've been grinding so hard during that day. It might be better to just relax, go to bed and hit that solo queue again the next day with a fresh mind. Don't be too good to rat it out. If a fight went south, your teammates are down, a new squad arrives and there's almost no chance for you to turn that fight around, well then get the hell out of there. Don't go for that low percentage 1 versus 3. Be an actual hero and get your team some of those sweet placement points. It might not end with a glorious full KP win, but it can seriously help you mitigate some of the damage when it comes to how much RP you lose. And who knows, you might come across another rat or an easy cleanup that will actually net you some points. In fact, the last game that made me reach Masters after I was like 5 points away from it was a super rough game, in which we were constantly attacked from all sides with super little loot, but I managed to rat it out to top 3 and actually gain like plus 17 RP instead of losing minus 48. And this is such a key note. Always try to avoid losing that minus 48. The current meta really points towards the R301 as the S tier primary, combined with a shotgun like the Mastiff or EVA 8. Slapping a 2 or 3x on the R301 gives you a really strong range and mid-range option to poke, beam people or pick off free KP in the distance, while a shotgun will give you the close range damage potential to follow up on a knock or to defend yourself when getting pushed. My legend of choice would be Bloodhound or Gibraltar. I played Bloodhound in probably 90% of my matches and picked Gibraltar whenever Bloodhound was picked. Bloodhound just makes your shot calling so much easier since you get all that extra information from your scans, as well as being able to scan the beacons for better rotations. It is also super nice to get easy assists with your scans, not gonna lie. In terms of Gibraltar, he's just such a powerhouse. You have so many tools to control a fight with your bubble and your ult, as well as your gun shield, which really enables him to clutch some fights easier than other legends. His gun shield also makes him especially strong in the early game, where everybody is low on resources if you end up landing contested. That free damage shield is super strong. Other than that, I think it is super good to have a mobility character on the squad. The best ones right now are probably Horizon and Octane. Being able to get high ground quick is just super good for securing a great endgame spot or just to get out of a sticky situation. Horizon generally is just super strong right now, probably still a bit overpowered honestly. Another strong pick is probably Caustic. He's just the god of the end zones if you can get there, and bunkering up after you got your first few KP is just so much easier with the Caustic. Just like Gibraltar, he's also a very strong early game legend if you land contested, since you can secure a place with traps even if your loot is shitty, and then play around that. Other legends are definitely viable too. These are just my top picks at the moment. In the end, it's alright to just go with what you feel comfortable with. Don't force yourself to play something you don't enjoy. And there you have it guys, these were my tips and my strategy that got me to Masters. I hope that sharing my perspective on solo queuing will help you on your own grind. And if you liked this video, if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. This video was actually a ton of work to make, so every like is appreciated. If you're gonna share this video with a friend, that would be super cool. And yeah, all that's left is happy grinding. You got this, you got this. See you on Masters guys. Bye!